Dihybrid cross is also done?
Yes, ma'am. Till
Okay.
the ratio part.
Okay, till the ratio part. All right. Okay, so you write some points about the dihybrid cross. Okay, some important points. You write down when two characters are considered. When two
Ma'am,
characters are Hmm?
ma'am, you already gave the points when two pairs of contrasting characters are studied.
Yeah, this is like, see, whatever you're seeing on the screen, I've asked you to write this down, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but this is not exactly the detailed version. Okay, I'll be reciting the detailed version to you and you write it down. Okay, then we'll move on to the next topic. Okay, we want to be 100% sure of this topic, right? You've understood everything about dihybrid cross?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right, so you still write down some points. Okay, first point you write down when two characters are considered when two characters are considered. Also, Zainab, do you have any like tests coming?
Yes, ma'am, I had, but it got over.
It got over. What chapters were there in the test?
In our environment chapter, heredity,
Hmm.
and the reproduction chapter. How
Okay,
do organisms reproduce?
okay, okay. And how did that test go? When was it?
Ma'am, it was on last Thursday,
Last Thursday. Okay, okay,
the second term examination.
okay. So did it go well?
Yes, ma'am, except for two, three questions.
Except for two, three questions. Like which chapter?
Heredity.
Which part did you like had trouble in?
Ma'am, can I tell you that question?
Sure, sure. Tell me the question.
1 minute, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, they asked that if two parents have the genotypes capital A and small a, the probability of having an small a in the genotype in the F1 generation would
Hmm.
be 25%, 50%, or none of the above.
One parent had AA and the other parent had small a.
Yeah.
Okay. See, how do you do this? You actually cross the, you can say the gametes together. So you cross the A with A, so you'll have AA, right? And then you'll cross this A with A, you'll have again the capital A, small a, right? Same goes for this, you'll have capital A, small a, and then for this, you'll have capital A, small a. So all of the offsprings in the F1 generation are heterozygotes, right? None of them have small a, isn't it?
But I wrote it as 50%
Why?
because I thought that some would come and some would like half half. The person like the
You read that question to me again.
if two parents have the genotypes capital AA and small AA, the
Hmm.
probability of having an small AA genotype in the F1 generation is.
Okay. See, but again, for these kind of questions, you actually have to cross them to know it. Okay, you can't guess it. And how did you guess that they'll have 50%? Like, how? What was your reason?
Ma'am, because I thought that the dwarfness like the AA and AA,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
thought it as the heights like the first one. So I thought that they would be a ratio that which they will have half chances of having the dominant and the recessive one.
Okay, okay, I understand that. See, basically, whenever you will get these kind of questions, you'll always see, make the crosses. Now, see, this one, for the question that you got, see, we took the crosses like one parent, whether it is the male or let's say this is the female parent, right? So, basically, here we are seeing that in one, there is the the homozygous dominant condition, isn't it? It is dominant. And one is homozygous recessive condition. And when we cross them out, we find out that there were all of them were heterozygotes, right? But if the
Can you
condition,
give the definition of homozygous and heterozygous?
yes, I will. See, but
Yes,
if the condition had been like this, okay, when both of the parents would have been heterozygotes. See, heterozygotes and homozygous. See, when I say capital A, and small a, see, you have both the genes, same genes, right? Both the same gene, meaning both the dominant genes are there, isn't it? And here, both the recessive genes are
recessive
there.
genes.
Okay, because of this, both of these conditions, they are known as homozygous. Homo means same. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
homozygous condition. And homozygous, it is of two types. One is homozygous dominant, wherein both the genes are dominant, right? Capital alphabets are always denoting the dominant gene, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So when the capital alphabets will be there, then it will be known as the dominant, or you can say homozygous dominant. And this one is also homozygous, but was it what is it? Like, is it dominant or recessive?
Recessive.
Yes, so this is homozygous recessive. See, the homozygous means that both same type of genes will be present. Whether dominant, so both dominant genes will be present. Whether recessive, so both recessive genes will be present. Okay. Now, this is the case wherein one is dominant and one is recessive. So this is not homo, right? This is not same. So this type of condition is known as heterozygous. Okay, this type of condition is heterozygous condition. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am. And
Yes.
there was one more question of the case-based questions.
What?
Case-based question, case study now.
I'm not getting your, like, can you speak a little clearer?
Ma'am, for biology, they gave a case study, case-based
Hmm.
study.
Hmm.
So there was a question which is of 2 mark and 1 mark. How
Hmm.
many types of plant would appear in the F1 generation?
Hmm.
Uh, like they gave the paragraph about Mendel's
Hmm.
study, and
Hmm.
then they asked that how many types of plants would appear in F1 generation? Justify your answer with a reason.
Okay, how many types? Like, what all will be the phenotypes? They were
Uh,
asking.
they didn't mention whether it's phenotype or genotype. They just asked like how many types of plants would be in the F1 like would appear in the F1 generation.
Did they tell you, like, did they give the whole cross?
They didn't give the cross, but they gave that Mendel studied the inheritance of 7 different features in pea
Hmm.
plant:
Hmm.
height, flower, color, seed flower, and seed shape.
Yes.
And then they said about the tallness,
Hmm.
and then they
Okay.
said about the pure breeding and the traits that were observed.
Okay.
Also,
See,
the
uh,
yellow colored seed producing
hmm.
with a green
So
colored.
they were asking about the tallness, or they were asking about the color? Which one? Was it a dihybrid cross or a monohybrid cross
Ma'am,
that they were?
that was my confusion. They
Hmm.
asked how many types of plants would appear in F1 generation, and they asked the justification for the answer. So while doing, he did only plant, right? So I wrote one.
How many plants would appear? So you wrote one.
Yeah, ma'am, because he did up with the pea plant, right? The
So the
bison plant.
question says that which plant was used.
They're asking the types of plants appearing in the F1 generation.
Yeah, see, if they are talking about the height, if they've given the height as a character, okay, only the height as a character. Okay. So you remember the monohybrid cross we did with height only, right? We saw
Yeah, a
the tall
single
plant.
character is being studied.
Yes, yes, the single character. So if that was the case, then what did we see? We saw that in the first generation, all the plants were tall, isn't it?
Tall.
Yes,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
in the second generation, we saw three of them were tall, but
Yes.
one was short,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So if it is with respect to a monohybrid cross, then you can say that three plants obtained in the second generation would be tall and one plant would be short. But if they are asking about the F1 generation, you'd say all the plants obtained were tall.
Mom,
Okay.
but then in the school, if we ask, they are like you have to mention the types, not the monohybrid and dihybrid cross.
Types what? I don't understand this question only.
The
Isn't it
same.
weird?
Yeah, mom, but I also didn't understand, and I wrote that he studied only one plant, and I wrote the same thing.
See, if see, like your answer would have been like 100% correct had they been asking about the plant that he studied. But they are asking actually about the F1 generation, isn't it?
First, the first question was like, what would be the expected genotype and the phenotype of the F1 generation?
And they have only mentioned the height of the plant, like tall and short. That's it.
A tall and short, and the yellow colored seed producing a plant with a green colored seed.
Both of these scenarios are different or in one question only.
Only the same paragraph. Looking at the paragraph, we had to answer the question.
Listen, listen. Can you send the picture of this question to me?
One to the management.
If you can send it to me, or you can send it to management to send it to me right now.
Yes. Should I send it to you?
You have my number?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you send it to the management.
Okay.
I'll get the question, I'll see, and I'll tell you how to answer, or whether the question is like, I find the question very weird. They are not specifying as to which cross we are taking. They are not specifying the character we are taking. And they want the answer. Okay, I'll ask them. See, you tell me once you're done sending it to them.
Ma'am, I have sent it to the management.
Okay. Okay, apart from that, were there any difficulties?
Ma'am, only the case-based question and one question from a 5 mark, which was of a 1 mark, like the subpart one.
Okay, wait. Okay, I've got the question. Let me just read it and I'll then explain it to you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, see, here they have given the height. See, this is monohybrid cross only. Okay, why? Because first of all, they are telling you how the experiment was done, right? They took height into consideration and they
Yes,
crossed
ma'am.
a tall plant with a short height plant, right? Then now they gave you a condition, or they gave you a scenario wherein they said, like told to you that what will be the scenario when a yellow colored seed, a pure yellow colored seed, they are saying. Pure means this condition. Okay. Pure means homozygous condition. Okay. When a pure yellow colored seed producing plant was crossed with a green colored seed producing plant. It is exactly the same as the height, right? One was capital T, one was small
Yes,
t,
ma'am.
small t. Same way, if you are taking the yellow or green colored, let's just say that yellow is the dominant one, and they are saying pure yellow. So we'll take capital Y, and then for green, which is like, and the
Small
other,
y, small y.
yes, small
All
y,
greens.
yes, small y. So what you'll again get the heterozygotes, but all of them will be yellow colored, isn't it? It is just the same case like the height of the plant.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
you will get? You'll get capital Y, small y, then again capital Y, small y. Same thing for the whole generation. This is your F1 generation. All the plants will be yellow seeded, isn't it? Yellow seed producing plants. So what will be the expected genotype? The expected genotype will be capital Y, small y. And what will be the phenotype? The phenotype will be yellow colored seed. Okay, yellow colored seed means if we have taken this as a dominant. Now it's up to you whether you want to take this as a dominant, this as a dominant, you have to mention in the answer. Okay.
Ma'am, I directly wrote yellow.
Oh, then your answer is right.
I just expected it would be yellow and I directly wrote it yellow.
Good.
I
Then
didn't
your
give the justification for the answer.
yeah. So how many types of plants would appear in the generation? There would be only one type of plant, isn't it? Which will
Yes,
be
ma'am.
a yellow colored plant. But why? Because the dominant is crossed with a recessive character and we'll get all sorts of heterozygotes because a pure dominant is crossed with a pure recessive. That is why we are getting heterozygotes as the first generation. Now, you know, even though your answer is right, you will get marks for that. Don't worry, you'll get 1 mark. But
Ma'am, the justification I gave was wrong. Our school might cut it.
what was your justification? What did you say?
I gave it as it would be one,
Hmm?
and the
The
plants appearing in the F1 generation would be one. Since he studied the seven contrasting characters, the dominant one was yellow. I mean, the
hmm,
recessive one was, I took that table and I wrote it over there.
okay. So see, you wrote the yellow, that is partially correct. But the reason you put behind it, that is completely wrong. And obviously, see, even if you didn't know the answer, then there was a little common sense needed that how could only one plant be produced in a generation? Just imagine. It is not even possible, right? There are so many offsprings produced, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you know how you do these type of questions.
Yes, ma'am. Next exam, I'll not do such mistakes.
But apart from like the genetics part, did you have any other difficulties?
No, ma'am. The rest chapters were fine. Like only these questions were difficult for me to do.
And like how much like was the full marks for your exam?
Ma'am, your voice is not audible.
I'm asking what was your full marks for this particular exam?
Ma'am, it's of 30. Like the full paper is of 80 and bio is for 30.
Okay, okay. All right, it's okay. It's no biggie. It doesn't matter.
Ma'am,
Now
can you
you
do the C question also? I didn't like I did somewhat which I understood.
okay, the same question C part.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now they are actually self-pollinating the plants. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Self-pollination means both the heterozygotes will be crossed together. Self-pollination. See, these are the F1 generation. Now we took them.
Mhm.
This is one plant of the F1 generation and we crossed it with itself, right? So the genotype will be the same for them, isn't
Yes,
it? I'm just teaching you the basic crossing mechanism. Then here you'll have a homozygous dominant. You'll have a heterozygous dominant. Then again you'll have always the dominant trait will be written first. Okay, you'll have
yes.
the heterozygous dominant again and then you'll have a homozygous recessive.
Yes,
This is how you form the self. This is the F2 generation. Got it?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, now they are saying in the question, when the F1, which one did you attempt, the first part or the second one?
The first one.
Okay, if when the F1 plants were self pollinated, okay, when the F1 plants were self pollinated, what was the species like self pollinated? So how many species? Like 2400 plants were produced. How many of these would be bearing yellow seeds, partially yellow and partially green seeds? Oh, this is such a long question. Give the genotype of the F2 generation. See, F2 generation, we have this, isn't it? Now, see, basically here, what they are doing is to tell you how, like percentage wise, right? meaning the total number of offspring they have given us to 2400, right? So now,
Yes, ma'am.
see, basically you have to take out the percentage over here. Okay, percentages, you'll take it out, and then when you'll do like the like how many of those percentage comes out of the 2400, that will be either, see, this is the pure yellow, right? Pure yellow seed, right? Then this is
Yes.
the heterozygote yellow, and this is the pure green. So you'll take that percentage equated with the total number of plants produced.
And what if we write the ratio 3:1?
What if you write the ratio?
Yes, ma'am.
See, ratio is not actually going to help in this type of question because we have to see the percentage. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We have to see here, we take the percentage as the, you can say, the medium for this. Okay, and then only we can do it. But if you want to, take like the ratio of it, then the total ratio is 9 is to, sorry, 3 is to 1, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
3 dominant and 1 is the recessive. Okay, so what do we do is that we take 3x, but this is not the way to actually do it. Okay, this is not how you do it. And then that is 2400.
200.
Okay, then that 4x is equal to 2400. This is not actually how you do it. See, basically the ratio part, you'll have to equate it with the whole total number. Okay, how did you do it actually?
Then, like, after seeing I just understood that they asked from the F1 generation if these two seeds were pollinated, what would be the most recessive one? I mean, the dominant one. So I wrote the yellow seeds. And the partially yellow, I didn't understand. And like the 2400 part, I left. Like, when they asked the genotype of the F2 generation,
Hmm.
this question I crossed it because they wrote self-pollinated, and I got the green was the recessive, and two were partially yellow, and one was yellow seeds. I wrote till that much. The 2400 part, I didn't know how to do it.
Okay. So I think, see, basically, let's just take the ratio method only. Okay. When we take the ratio method, so again we equated the way we were doing, right? 3x plus 1x is equal to 2400. Okay. So that we will find out with this the value of x, isn't it? 4x is equal to 2400. X will be equal to 2400 divided by 4. What will be the answer of this? 2400 divided by 4.
600.
600 would be there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So 600, x comes out to be 600. Okay. So let's just say that if x is 600, so 3 into x, meaning 3 into 600. What will you get? 16.
1800.
Yes. These are your, this thing, mm, dominant, okay, dominant yellow ones, right? And
Yes,
then
ma'am.
after that, 1x is equal to your recessive one, which is 1 into x, right?
1 into
1
600
into
is
6, right?
600.
Which is 600. So that is your total number of recessive, which is the green, pure green, okay? Pure green, and this is pure, no, not pure actually. This is actually the total number of dominant yellow, and this is the pure green. Basically, you equate it with the ratio, like this one. Okay. See, these type of questions, they don't come in boards. I don't know why they have given you this type of question for your exam. This type of question will not come in boards.
Mom, when we asked, she was like, our bio teacher was like, it's a simple question only. Guys could have done it, and they gave it for 2 marks also.
So, like,
So overall, in this question, I might
they
have
did not
got one
explain.
and a half or two.
Hmm?
Overall, for this question, I might have got 1.5 or 2.
Hmm. So like didn't she or he explain it to you how to do this question?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
They didn't give a like overview also. Like if this types of question comes, you have to do it like this.
They didn't
They
explain
just
it to you?
taught us the crossing and the ratio part how of finding it out.
Okay, okay. See, what I will do now, see, in the next class, basically, I will actually give you these type of questions. But before that, I will explain how to tackle these questions. Okay?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then you practice it in front of me, and whatever your doubts will be there, we'll solve it right then and there only so that you'll know how to tackle it. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Or maybe this type of question, maybe, it can come in your boards, who knows? Then we should be ready for this, right? Yes,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
in the next class, we'll be solving previous year questions. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so that you can be properly prepared for your exams, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, this was for this genetics chapter, right? Now, the life processes and how do organisms reproduce. Have you done those two chapters with me?
Sorry, ma'am.
Like, have I taught you those two chapters?
How do organisms reproduce? Yeah, you have finished with me. And our environment chapter is yet to be started.
Which one? Our environment.
Sorry, ma'am.
Which chapter we have to start?
Our environment.
Okay, our environment. Okay. And control and coordination is also there, right?
Yeah, ma'am. Control and coordination, life process. They both are there. But that chapters I understood, like from the previous teachers I learned, I understood.
Okay, okay. So I started with how do organisms reproduce, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So like for whatever questions that did come from how do organisms reproduce, did you have any difficulty there? You tell me that also.
The 5 mark question, there was a question on which like
Hmm.
they gave about an insect of plant,
Hmm.
like the pollinators,
Hmm.
A and all. We had to identify that. One question was like of half mark. No, 1 mark, ma'am. That one I lost, ma'am.
Okay. So you would have to identify the insect or the plant.
No, ma'am. They gave that an insect sits on a flower of a plant of some particle A present on top of the flower stalks in the flower attached to its body hair. Now, should I send it to you?
Yes, send it. Send it to me. You had long questions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, send it to them. They'll send it to me. Because I just want to see like where are the points that you are actually getting stuck on so that we'll work on that and then you'll no more be stuck on those points.
Ma'am, I have sent it.
Okay. Also, once the whole, these chapters will be done, we'll be starting with solving the previous year questions, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So that you know how to actually tackle those questions. Okay, I've got the question.
Ma'am, mostly I lose my marks in bio only because certain words, if we don't put also, like they're cutting the marks, like 1 mark, half mark, and all.
1 mark. They are cutting it like that.
Yes, ma'am. Like, if I write the particle A is pollen grains, and I have to write the words that they're transferring from A to B. Suppose if it's like that, I have to write that this process is known as self-pollination. So if I don't write like that and it's self-pollination, they will give half mark and they'll cut half.
Yeah, so no, see, this is actually right because right now in this, no, this is a very nice question. Why did you have difficulty in this?
No, ma'am, I did everything, but I had it out that name D and E.
Name D and E.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wait, I did not read the whole thing. D from the top, long tube, B. Long tube, that is the pollen tube, right? And it through which the C, which is the male gametes, it moves down and reaches bottom part of the flower-shaped organ. Here, the C, which is the male gamete, it fuses with the nucleus of D. Nucleus of D means nucleus of the egg. Okay, the egg. D is the egg. Okay,
Ma'am,
right?
D is the ovule present inside the ovary,
See,
and E I had it out.
see, they are talking about the fusions. Do you remember? I told you that after. Okay, this is such a bad diagram. This is the stigma, this is the style, and then there was the ovary, right? So when do you remember that I drew this one wherein the pollen
Yes,
tube
ma'am.
was reaching the ovule like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Now this was the whole ovule, and here
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have two synergids and one egg cell. So whatever male gamete was coming out, it fused with this first. This is the egg cell. So D here they are referring to, it would be the egg cell. Okay, then only the zygote is formed. Okay, so D is the egg cell and
Yes,
it
ma'am.
is contained in the structure E. Structure,
Ovary.
it is contained in the ovule, right? Ovule. The ovule contains the egg cell, right? Then the
Yeah.
ovule is present in the ovule. Okay,
I didn't write the Excel, but the ovule I wrote it correctly.
ovule you wrote?
Yeah.
Yes, then it is right. But yes, the D one would have been the egg cell. Then they are saying that the fusion of C and D will form F. What do you write in that?
The zygote.
Very good. Zygote is right, which develops into a seed of the plant.
Ma'am,
So,
the C question, what is C which moves down through the tube B?
hmm,
That would be the long tube which is shown, right? The stigma, right?
they are saying that what is seed which moves down through the tube? See, the tube that they are referring to, okay, that is the pollen tube, right? The pollen when the tube comes out of it, isn't it? Now,
So it's not stigma, right?
what stigma?
The
No,
tube which it
this
moves
tube is
on.
pollen tube. The stigma is the landing portion. The style is this part and this part is the ovary. So obviously this cannot be stigma. Stigma is here, this part.
Yeah.
The landing portion of the pollen grain is the stigma. Now from the pollen grain the pollen tube arises and the male gametes are present in the pollen tube. So male gametes they travel down the pollen tube and the male gamete only fuses with the egg cell. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I wrote the one that moves to the tube B is the pollen,
Hmm.
and the tube B is stigma. I wrote.
No, this is completely wrong. See, I would have understood if you might have written style over there. That would be explanatory. But stigma, how? Stigma is over there. Stigma has no role other than being a landing platform. Then again, in this whole part, stigma has no role. Stigma is just the platform where the landing of the pollen takes place. Getting my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, see, it's okay. Your whole answer is particularly correct only. Only a little bit is there. Maybe 0.5 marks will be cut from it.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. And this one, did you write it correctly? The flowers observed in papaya plant and mustard plant?
Yes, ma'am. The papaya plant, I wrote it as it is unisexual.
Mm-hmm.
Both the
If you wrote
plants
it
are.
in, yes, 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 very good. That's right. And then also, did you explain the difference? Like why they are different? That both the male and the female are present in one or present in different bodies. You
I
explain that?
wrote that the point difference is that in papaya and mustard plant, only either of the gamete would be present, either the the male
Either of the
gamete or the
gamete.
female gamete.
No, dear, not gamete.
Sorry, ma'am, the,
The reproductive unit, the
yeah,
male part or the female part, right?
yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay. If you did
The
like that in
carpel or the
hmm,
carpel or the other one, ma'am.
stamen.
Yeah, I
Okay.
forgot.
If you yeah, okay, okay. Then it's right. Your answer is right. But only for
Yes.
this D you didn't remember, you weren't able to recall the egg cell.
I wrote that it is present inside ovule.
Yeah, ovule,
And
your ovule is right. It is correct. But what about the this D one?
I wrote it as egg. I didn't write cell.
Oh, then also it's right. It's right. You scared me. You said you wrote it wrong. I was wondering what did you write? If you just wrote egg also, your answer is 100% right. Okay, it's right. You can call it egg,
Yes,
you can call it egg cell also. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
then
Okay.
I'll get half mark.
Yes, you will get marks for both of them. Your marks will not be cut for this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. You almost scared me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and apart from this, did you have any like difficulties? So basically, I'm
No,
seeing
ma'am.
that you have certain difficulties in terminologies, isn't it? The
Sorry, no.
namings of the stuff, right?
Sorry, ma'am. I didn't get you.
I'm saying from what you are saying to me, your main problem, I think, is in the terminology, isn't it? The names of things.
Yes, ma'am. I
Hmm.
know the concept, everything, but the main mistake which I make in the paper is that silly mistakes. Because of that, I almost lose 15 to 20 marks.
You have to be really, really careful, right? And see, I know that you already know because you perform well in the class, isn't it? And your concepts have been clear and you didn't even have any doubt, right? Anyway,
Yes,
it's okay. And whatever you wrote, it's fine. And now we'll be preparing in a better way for your final exams, isn't it? The board examination.
ma'am. One more exam is coming up. I guess it's pre-board on
Okay,
January.
yeah. Okay, when? Like, do you know the dates?
Date, if they didn't update, if they update, I'll give it to the management.
Hmm. And like the whole bio unit will come or will some chapters will come?
The whole bio unit.
Okay, meaning life processes, how do organisms reproduce, then there is heredity and evolution, then control coordination and our environment, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then we'll be doing it very nicely, isn't it? And
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have to pay 200% attention, not just 100.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. All right. So in that particular chapter, which is the you can say this one, heredity and evolution. What was left? Okay. Evolution is also not there, right? Sex determination is not there.
No, ma'am. The
So
species.
basically, we have completed the whole chapter, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
The last topic was dihybrid cross only.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So which chapter do you want to start next? Is it
Ma'am,
control and code? Hmm?
sex determination is there.
No, it's not there.
It is there, ma'am, for us.
There. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. From evolution only it's cancelled. Till sex determination, it is.
Okay. All right. So
Ma'am,
see.
can you give me the definition of the dihybrid because I couldn't complete it.
Okay. Write down. When two characters are considered, while crossing two organisms. Okay, when two characters are considered while crossing two organisms, comma, then such a cross is known as dihybrid cross. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you write down the ratio of characters arising out of this cross at F2 generation is
At
called as
ratio of this cross.
the ratio of this cross arising out of the ratio of characters arising out of this cross at F2 generation is called as the dihybrid ratio. Is called as the dihybrid ratio. Then you write it as an example. You write example, and under that you write down if a plant with round if a plant with round and green pea round and green pea is crossed with a plant with wrinkled and yellow pea. Okay, this is the example, isn't it? This is the example of a dihybrid cross. Like we are taking two characters into consideration. Okay, then you write down the dihybrid ratio. Nine is to 3 is to 3 is to 1. This is the ratio. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us talk about sex determination. Okay, now under sex determination, let us give the definition for it. You write down the process of determining the process of determining the sex of an individual based on based on the composition of the genetic material is called as the sex determination. It's called as sex determination. Okay, the way how when like the whole process through which we can determine the sex of an individual on the basis of how the genetic material composition is. Okay, then that is known as sex determination. Is it clear?
Like the genes that is being composed to the offspring.
The genes that are present in the offspring that will determine the sex of the gene. Sorry, sex of the offspring.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Now, can you tell me which type of cell? Do you remember I taught to you about the germ cells and the somatic cells?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Now tell me which of these two like cells, which one will be participating in sex determination? The germ cell or the somatic cell? Think before you answer. Okay, think first.
Sorry, ma'am, I had internet problem. Can you repeat the question?
Hmm. I was saying that, like, you remember I taught to you about the germ cells and the somatic cells, the two types of cells in the body?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, my question is that which of these two types of cells, which one would actually help in sex determination? Will it be the germ cell or will it be the somatic cell? Think before you answer. What is your answer?
Ma'am, somatic cells are the body cells except for the reproductive ones, but the germ cells are the reproductive cells. So
Hmm.
it would be the germ cells.
Very good. The germ cells, right? Okay, and the germ cells are of two type, isn't it? One is the sperm and one is the ova.
Yes, ma'am. And they are also haploid.
Very good. Yes, they are happen. Okay. Now you write down in the case of humans, in the case of humans, sex determination, sex determination happens on the basis of the presence or absence of Y chromosome. Okay. Now,
Yes, ma'am.
Y chromosome is a sex chromosome. Okay. Now see, if we talk about the males and the females of humans, okay, human male and female. So the male has X and Y chromosome, the female has XX chromosome. Okay. Now, let's just make the cross. Okay, when this X, maybe during the fusion, maybe this X was contributed. See, uh, this is 2N, isn't it? If we are talking about the diploid organism, then this is 2N. Then
Yes.
what will be the gametes of the male? The gametes can either have the X
ma'am.
or it can have the Y, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What about the females? What will be the two gametes?
X and X.
X and X. And all of these, what will be the ploidy of all? Hmm? What will be the ploidy? The number of chromosomes will be
Where
like
23.
one pair, right? Which is
Yes,
N,
ma'am.
haploid. Haploid and diploid are ploidy. Okay, they are known as ploidy,
Yes,
meaning
ma'am.
how many sets of chromosome will be there. Okay, now if the sperm carrying the X chromosome fuses with the egg carrying the X chromosome, then XX will be formed. Then, if this X chromosome carrying sperm fuses with another X of the female, if see all of these are different situations. This is offspring number one. Now,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
will be offspring number two. Now, if the Y, if like for example, if during the fusion the sperm is carrying the Y chromosome and it fuses with the X chromosome of the female, then we'll have XY. And then if again it fuses with the X, we'll have XY. So now, like these are separate fusions, okay? Don't take it one. Okay, these are
Yes.
separate fusions. So now this one, the child will be female, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
This one, the child will again be female.
Female.
But here the child will be a male,
Male.
and here also the child will be a male. So this is how the sex is determined in the humans. The ovum.
Ma'am,
Hmm,
in the case of the offspring's sex determination, the male chromosomes will decide whether it's male or female.
exactly. Yes, the male chromosome, the this only the Y chromosome will be deciding whether the offspring is a male or whether it is a female. Got
Yes,
it?
ma'am.
Why? Because the female carries both the X chromosome only, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but the male carries X and Y. So That is how the male will be deciding. Okay, so you write down an ovum, an ovum, an ovum always contains an X chromosome. An ovum always contains an X chromosome. This whole crossing you can also note down, okay? These are your gametes. Okay, have you note down this thing that I have explained on the screen?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you note down this first. Wait, have you started to note it down?
Yes, no, ma'am.
Okay, listen. After writing an ovum always contains an X chromosome, you write down the sperm, the sperm can contain an X chromosome or Y chromosome. The sperm can contain an X chromosome or Y chromosome.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, apart from that, you write down the ovum, the ovum fusing with the Y containing sperm, the ovum fusing with the Y containing sperm gives rise gives rise to a male child. Gives rise to a male child. And then you write down and upon fusion and upon fusion with X containing sperm and upon fusion with X containing sperm gives rise to a girl child. Gives rise to a girl child. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now you can note down the thing that is on the screen. You can make it, just like how I have made, so that it will be easier for you to understand.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the case of chromosomes, there are 23 pairs for each, right? So 22
Yes.
pairs of chromosomes are used for our body, and one chromosome is
Hmm.
for reproductive
Yes.
process,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Exactly.
if they ask like that types of questions, so we have to say one pair of chromosome.
One pair of sex chromosome.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to mention, okay, sex chromosome. See, if you say normal one pair of chromosome, it means normal chromosomes. You have to mention if it is the sex chromosome, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Okay, done. So
Yes,
is
ma'am.
this whole thing clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. All right. So apart from that, like this is the only topic that is coming, right? Apart from like rest after this is not there, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now see, this was for humans. Okay. But if you talk about different animals, see, there are some animals that use very different strategies for sex determination, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So, like there, some of them actually rely on the environment, some of them rely on the temperature. Like in some temperature, like that, the duration at which the fertilized eggs are kept, that will decide whether the egg will be male or female. Okay, so in different species, they rely on the environment, like temperature.